Welcome back to Jenny's World. Keeping it fresh, keeping it real, and keeping it middle aged. Now, don't forget to follow me on Instagram and Twitter. And subscribe to my YouTube channel, Jenny's World. Details down below in the description box. Love Island, Part 3. What a saga, what a week. And I really just want to dive straight into what happened on Thursday and Friday. But I will do what I said I would do and do a recap. So I'll try and rack my brains as to what happened earlier on in the week. We had the eviction, we had the vote, we had the fun and games. And there were fun and games. Jess and Mike blatantly just putting it out there in front of Luke M. No real respect for him, but what can you say? And then Jess decides that she would marry him. Luke M says, hold on a minute, I'll divorce you in the same day. Shanice got pied several times, and one of those was by Naz. What was that all about? And then we fast forward, Sophie and Wallace, the two to go. And I feel as though Sophie wasn't unexpected. Wallace was a bit, but why on earth was Rebecca left? I kind of didn't get the sense that the rest of the girls were in love with her or felt much about her. But she got voted in above Sophie. But again, Sophie had her time. And I feel as though she was happy to go in the end so that she can reconnect with Connor. Wallace, I did feel sorry for. I felt as though he hadn't had enough time or opportunity to show his worth, but he made his mark in there. But he had to go. The votes were cast and his name was done and dusted. So we move on. Everybody's back in their couples, happy or not, and all is going on. And then we kind of move forward. And I'm going to skip right through to Casa Amora. Now, could the boys be any more excited than they were when they heard that they were off? They snuck right out of their villa, kind of doing all they could to make sure that the girls did not suspect anything. And they didn't until it was too late. And as soon as they realised that the boys were off, they knew where they went. And then we had Shauna. Again, I really like Shauna. I honestly thought that her and Callum were a good couple. But I must admit, her doom and gloom kind of gets you after a bit. And she kind of had given up. And it was kind of thinking, okay, fair enough. But it is a competition and it's all about finding love for some. And what will be. Just kind of take it on the chin. If he comes up with somebody, accept it. You look out for somebody else, but always look out for yourself. But she was really kind of taking it hard, ultra convinced that he was going to find somebody else. And while I think we all suspected he would, I personally hoped he wouldn't. But let's fast forward to Casa Amora and those lovely ladies who walked in. Finn, I personally think, was taken. All of the boys had their heads kind of turned in an instant. And Mike, oh my gosh, he got over Jess in a heartbeat. Priscilla, he had his eyes on her from the moment he saw her. And I must admit, it was clear that she liked him. And it did kind of make a good couple. Now Luke, I found this hilarious. He was surrounded by every single girl who liked him. And I must admit, I felt so sorry for Luke T. Nobody said they liked him. Was it a game? Who knows? But I kind of felt as though maybe that's the best thing that happened. It really made him kind of think about him and Shanice, and that was a done deal. He didn't have to worry, he didn't have to stress, he didn't have to do anything that other guys were doing. He just got on with it. Now Callum, he was kind of taken aback. He saw Molly, he saw the other girls, and he was like, whoa, what on earth is going on? But there was, I feel as though, some real connection with him and Molly. It was like he was thunderstruck and he just couldn't really talk. And we all heard it from Molly. She was out to get him from the get-go. And he got. Real big time. But it kind of looked quite genuine with that. When they were coupling that night and he was stroking her wrist and he was looking at her. It kind of for me, felt as though it was a good thing. And in the back of my mind, I was thinking, Shauna is not going to like this. She is not going to be happy. But I'm going to step back a bit. The girls were kind of coming in, and Naz, he had 3 girls. I won't say fighting over him, but who'd expressed an interest. And he was over the moon. Demi who? He didn't remember what her name was. And I really don't think he cared. He was just elated that he had more than one girl who was interested in him. And I kind of felt good for you. It's about time this happened to you. And I feel as though we really saw Naz in his true colours, as the kind of person he was around the kind of people who liked him. And I kind of felt a bit sorry for Demi, but I kind of thought, oh, I think it's kind of like Naz's time. Let him enjoy it. Now, all fun and games, boys and girls getting on, enjoying it. Finn kind of like making it clear, no, my heart's set on Paige. I'm not interested. I can have some fun, but nothing's going to happen. Now, I'm going to kind of like sidetrack just a bit, and I'm not really sidetracking, but I've got to bring this into the conversation. The game that they played with the drinks. Now, okay, old and middle-aged, I accept that. But who the hell wants somebody spitting drink into their mouths? Now, my kind of like personal thought on this was, I would only do it if I was the first person to get that drink and to spit it in somebody else's mouth. But to see it go from one person to the next, to the next, to the next. Can you imagine having somebody spit? Not only they're spit in your mouth, but the drink from 3 other people. The person at the end of that line, hands out to them. You done it. You kind of like mastered that. And in both of the Casa Amora and the Villa, they were going great guns. They were just drinking it all in and spitting it back out. And I was sitting there gagging, thinking, oh my gosh, what the hell would you be catching? But I suppose you want to play for those kind of stakes, have that kind of free holiday. You got to do some kind of things. And it wasn't the first time that we've seen that. That had taken place already at the Villa. But I hadn't commented on that. And this goes like, shows you how much that is stuck in my mind that I had to talk about it. I really hope they find some other games that aren't so kind of like disgusting as that. And it's been interesting to see who else thought that was a good game or a let's pass on that. I must admit, if I was in my early 20s and I was at that Casa Amora at the Villa and somebody said to me, this is what you need to do, I would have walked straight out and said, I don't think so. Having somebody spit in my mouth and I've got to spit in somebody else's mouth, knowing that that spit, that drink had gone around several times, that's not something I'll be willing to do. But hey, that's just me being middle-aged. I'm sure that the rest of you who are much younger than me probably saw that as nothing more than a night out and a bit of fun. But let's just kind of like park that there and move on. So we saw Callum and Molly getting it on, and he being a bit shy and she wondering what's going on, and the boy telling Callum, just get on, make your move. Didn't take him long, he did. Priscilla and Mike, that did not take long to happen. And I must admit, I kind of like think Mike's a bit of a dog and I'm not quite sure I'd ever trust him, but he and Priscilla look really good together. So I'm pleased for Priscilla, and that kind of like means I've got to be pleased for Mike, but there you go. They make a good couple. I felt really pleased that Finn was staying loyal, as was Luke T. Although I'm a bit kind of confused, if he had lots of girls say they liked him, would he be playing the ball or would he be faithful? We never know, but there you have it. And then Luke M, he had all the girls falling over for him and he had the choice of them. And then we move back on, we have Naz and he has quite a few of them. And it's kind of like difficult to see who would choose, but eventually he did. Now back over at the Villa, and we've got Paige and Shauna. Paige is like, no, I'm not getting to know anybody. I'm sticking hard and fast for Finn. I'll wait and see what happens. Shauna doing the same, but absolutely convinced that he wouldn't be doing the same for her, that he'd be bewildered by 6 lovely ladies throwing themselves at him. And so she was kind of like resigned to it, but really gutted about it, and talking about how bad it was for her and that it was always her that it happened to. Now, obviously, Jess was having the time of her life. Big C and Chad, both throw themselves at her. And she was kind of like, I like you both. Who should it be? Who should it be? I really felt that she should have gone for Big Z. But that's just my fault. Although I think a few other people thought the same as well. But it's all about fun and games. Rebecca and Jordan, she set her eyes on him from day one. And he reciprocated, and they got it on, and they were kind of like done and dusted. A deal already done. So we move on. I really want to fast forward because I really can't remember half the names of the other girls that were interested in the boys at the Casa Amore. But it came down to the final night, and who would the boys be coming back home with, and who would the girls be staying loyal to. Now we saw throughout that Paige and Finn, they were sleeping in a day bed, or they sleep with the girls, and it was all a case of, no, I'm not sure he's going to be loyal to me, but I'll be loyal. Shauna was exactly the same. Now Demi, she really surprised me. She had quite a few people taking interest in her, and I wasn't sure that she was really into Naz 100%, or if she felt that the public liked him, so she should like him as well. But she was 100%, no, it's Naz. I didn't have enough time to get to know him, but I really want to. And she stayed loyal. And then obviously we had Rebecca as single. She was going to go for Jordan no matter what. And then Jess. Now, I was kind of like torn. Was she stick for Mike? But I kind of feel as though she had him down to a peg in terms of the kind of guy he was. So she wasn't waiting on him. So she came down to, would it be Big C or would it be Ched? I really wanted her to go for Big C, who I thought was a really better match for her. But I feel as though she kind of like went for the brawn and the muscle over the kind of like nice, gentle guy. But time will tell. So we kind of like have it come down, and Laura walks down the aisle and kind of like says, right, let's see what's happening. And I'm really going to cut to the chase because I can't remember half the people are in there. But we know that Paige and Finn, they stay together. Shanice and Luke T. I want to talk about this one a little bit more because Shanice was really unsure and she stayed faithful with that throughout. She wore his bloody well eye mask for pity's sake. And when it came down to it, she was really nervous because she didn't know how he would go. And when he walked out single, she was crying. And I kind of thought, oh, that is so cute. And when they hugged and kissed, I thought, oh my gosh, they are actually a great couple. And they looked amazing together. Now, obviously, we then had Paige and Finn. And that was kind of like a quick reunion. But you could kind of like see they were both sweating it out, not knowing if they would be single when they came out. But it was really great to see that they had managed to come through. I did feel sorry for Demi when Naz came through with Natalia. And my heart went out for a bit because she was clearly gutted and had expected him to stay true. But she kind of like managed that situation well. Now, obviously, Jess, she chose Ched. I felt sorry for Big C, but not much you can do. Rebecca chose Jordan, smiles all round. And then we had Shanice. We done Shanice, then we had Shauna. Apologies, we had Shauna. And before Shauna, we saw Mike and Priscilla come down. Now, Jess kind of like called him out. And I was really proud of that. I thought, well, say it how it is. And one of the things that struck me was she didn't trust him and he was untrustworthy. And he proved by coming back with somebody else that she had called it right. Despite the fact she had chosen Ched, I think that she was right about Mike. And I think this is going to go down to the wire as to how Mike really plays out. Because as much as I feel that him and Priscilla make a great couple, I'm just kind of like wondering if somebody else gets thrown out there, is he going to go for them? I don't know. We don't know. And maybe time will tell, and maybe that's just it. We're where we are, and it's always going to be Mike and Priscilla. I really hope so. But I think the thing that came down to the wire that we were all waiting for, we knew it was going to happen, was when Shauna stood up, stayed loyal to Callum, and Callum came down with Molly. Now, I was like, oh my gosh. And for me, I was really impressed with Shauna. She held it together. She didn't break down and cry. She wasn't surprised. And she kind of like said, well, that's what happens when you trust a scaffolder. A little dig there. But she didn't break down. And she held it there for all the Thursday night. Now, me personally, I was like, oh my gosh, amazing. But there's no preview. It's like, what's happening the next day? And it was like, how can you end it there for us? But they did. Suspense, horror. So I couldn't wait until Friday rolled around so we can see what actually happened. And unfortunately, it was really disappointing. I was like, oh, this is an anti-climax. What the heck? There's no drama. There's no big suspense. Everything played out as you would. Shauna was tearful throughout the day. Callum tried to apologise badly. The girl's really good at consoling Shauna and saying, no, you don't need to leave. You need to stay. It's not about you. It's him. And then the boys, oh my goodness, pile it on as to how bad Callum did not miss her. It's like he was a different person. He really came out of his shell. He had feelings he hadn't shown before. So are you trying to console Shauna, or are you trying to push her off the cliff? Because that night it felt as though the three boys, Luke T, Mike and Finn, were pushing her off the edge. And I'm calling it out there. Those three boys did not do anything to console her. At first, when they were giving a hug and saying it's going to be all right, I thought, oh, okay, they're going to really do really well here. And then that was it. Oh, he really came out of his shell, completely different person. It's like, Mike, can you say anything else? They were just piling on, just ready to say how much they felt Callum was better suited to Molly than he was to Shauna. How was that ever going to help her feel better? In what world? And then we kind of had Callum kind of like talking to Molly, oh, don't worry about it. There's no bad blood. I'm like, are you crazy? At some point, Shauna's going to go crazy and you feel there's no bad blood. And I give it up for Molly. She said, are you crazy as well? But I kind of like, I'm in mixed minds about Callum and Molly. I'm not sure if they're going to last the distance. I generally think that Callum is really into Molly. I'm not sure it's reciprocated, but we've got plenty of time for that to come through. Now, Naz and Demi, he went out of his way. He said nothing had happened. He wanted to be respectful to her and talk to her before he and Natalia did anything. But I can't help feeling that Natalia doesn't actually seem to be as into Naz as she was when they were at Casa Amore. She seems a little bit kind of cold, but again, time will tell. Now, Luke M. Now, he would look like the cat who had got the cream. And I'm really happy for him. I thought down to this time, he kind of like got a bit pushed over by Jess, who kind of like picked Mike. And I felt as though he was in his element. But again, it doesn't look as though things are going as rosy in the garden as we would expect them to be. But it's early days and there's time to tell. And I must admit, I was expecting more of an explosion in Friday night's episode than had happened. And all that really happened that I think we're all kind of like waiting for Sunday night to come round is the showdown between Shauna and Molly. Now, from Shauna's point of view, she kind of feels as though she should be taking hints and tips from Molly because she managed to get under Callum's skin in a short space of time as to Shauna's 4 weeks. But I think, again, Callum is not the right person for Shauna anyway. I feel as though Molly's all playing the game and it's like, I'm really scared. But it's like, what have you got to be scared about? So, that's where it left off with the showdown between Shauna and Molly. And as I said before, anticlimax. I was pretty bored. There wasn't much going on Friday night. And now we've got to wait until Sunday for it to happen. So, that's my kind of like overview of what happened in the past week. Let me know your thoughts, what you think, what you have predicted. Did any predictions come right and what's going to go on? And do we really feel as though Sean Paul is going to make a big difference in the episodes with him coming in? I don't know. I feel as though something big has got to happen to really reignite. Because at the moment, we've got pretty happy couples. We've got miserable Shauna over in the corner. And I feel as though there's heartbreak on the horizon for Naz, Luke M, and potentially Callum. So stay tuned. Watch all the episodes. I'll do my recap again in a week's time. So thanks again for watching. Keeping it fresh, keeping it real, and definitely keeping it middle-aged.